So, in this second lecture of stereochemistry, right, we'll discuss the various types of isomerism, structural and stereo, and the distinction between them, and we'll then go on for conformational analysis. Right, we'll discuss the conformational analysis. What is for conformers? And in the previous lecture, we already discussed the representation of three-dimensional structures in two dimension. We'll need that knowledge here. So let us start. Okay, now we come to our next part, that is isomerism and different types of isomerism. Right? See, by isomers, what we mean? Isomers are different compounds that have same molecular formula, that we know. Now, what are the different types of isomers? That also we read in the higher secondary level. Let us define it a bit again. Right? So, isomers can be said that they have same molecular formula. Okay. That means different compounds which have same molecular formula. Right? Now, they can be of two types. Mainly, the constitutional isomer and the stereoisomers. What are constitutional isomers? Or they are also called structural isomers. Structural isomers. Okay. They have different nature of sequence of bonds. That means the connections are different. Right. These constitutional isomers you have studied in details. They have again say positional or position isomerism, chain isomerism, functional group isomerism, all these things. These are actually nothing but part of constitutional or structural isomerism. Suppose say we have these two compounds, right? What is this? This is dimethyl ether, right? Dimethyl ether. With the same molecular formula, we can also have, see, ethyl alcohol, right? So this is a functional group isomerism. And suppose you say propane. We already discussed propane. This is normal propane or N-propane. But you can also have, say, sorry, we'll not with propane, we'll have to do it with butane, right? CH3. So we can have so this is another form of butane. Okay, this is N-butane and this is another butane. So these kind of isomerisms are considered under constitutional isomerism. In this chapter, we will not go into details of constitutional isomerism. Rather, we should only limit our discussions on stereoisomerism. What is stereoisomerism? Stereoisomerism means different arrangements of groups in space. Now they have same connectivity, right? The connectivity is same. They are not different from each other, but they have different properties due to their different arrangement of the atoms in space. Suppose, and these can again be divided in two parts, that is conformational isomer and configurational isomer. Okay. What are conformational isomers? They differ by rotation of a single bond, just as we saw in the previous case, right, of this staggered and this staggered and eclipsed form of propane, right? These are nothing but conformational isomers, right? Their energy difference is very less. See, in staggered and eclipsed, what happened, right? We had this type of thing, right? They they differ only by what? The rotation of C1 C2 bond, right? If you rotate it by 60 degree, you get N1 conformation. If you rotate it by other 60 degree on the other hand side, you get another configuration, right? So, but they are not different. They do not change the connectivity, right? They do not change the connectivity, because all the bonds are not changing. The number of carbon-carbon bonds and number of carbon-hydrogen bonds is remaining same, right? It's not changing. Only thing changing is the rotation about a single bond. These are called conformational isomers. On the other hand, configurational isomers are, if you want to convert them from one isomer to another, you have to break bonds. This is important. In conformational isomers, from going from one isomer to another, you do not need to break bonds. You can just convert them by rotating a single bond. But for configurational isomers, you have to break bonds and make new bonds in order to go from one configurational isomer to another isomer, right? Suppose one quick example will be, say, this trans, cis and trans. Cis and trans, what is this? This is dichloroethene. Now, if you want to go from here to the trans to cis, right, you have to break a carbon-chlorine bond and carbon-hydrogen bond and then remake it. Otherwise, you cannot go from here to here just by rotation, because rotation over this is not permitted. It's fixed on a rotation about a double bond, whereas rotation about a single bond is very free. Now, these configurational isomers can again be divided into enantiomers and diastereoisomers. Enantiomers are two isomers who have mirror image relationship. And which are of course non-superposable. Non-superposable, or in some books you will find the word non-superimposable. Impose, you cannot impose it, right? Non-superposable or impossible, they carry the same meaning. Okay, but they have mirror image relationship, right? Whereas diastereoisomers do not possess mirror image relationship. See, enantiomers, you can easily say our left hand and the right hand. These are mirror image. Our left hand is the mirror image of our right hand, but you cannot superimpose it. You cannot superimpose them, right? They are different, but they are mirror image relationship. On the other hand, diastereoisomers, see this cis dichloroethene and the trans, they are what? They are neither mirror image relationship, but they are isomers, right? So these are diastereoisomers. Okay, now we have learned this how to draw these molecules and in 3 dimension, and also learned in this lecture about the various types of isomerism. Now we will continue our discussion for conformational isomers, right? That is those isomers who can be converted to one another by just rotation of a single bond. Okay, and to be more specific, that these isomers differ very less in energy, and they are usually defined as those isomers who are less than 100 kilojoule per mole less in energy, the energy difference. Okay, so they are easily interconvertible at room temperature, right? Now, before going to conformational isomers and conformational analysis, we need to know something called dihedral angle, right? Now, see, in Newman projection we have already seen these are the dihedral angles, right? Now, here are some ball and sticks models, right? These are ball and stick models, and actually these two things are equivalent and they are equivalent, right? Just the viewing position is different, right? If you view this through this atom and the bond linearly, then you will have a view like this one. This is same to Newman projection and this is similar to Shawhorse. Now I can draw this Shawhorse also by something like this, okay, and this will be drawn as yeah, so these models can be seen as similar to something the Shawhorse projection, and these are the Newman projection one. Okay, now what are dihedral angles? See, in this picture, right, the staggered one, the Shawhorse projection, right, it is easy to view the dihedral angle. This is the angle between these two planes, right, the planes containing the one hydrogen that is attached to the carbon at the back and the carbon at the front, the plane containing these three, and the plane containing the other hydrogen atom, right? If this angle is 60 degree in case of staggered ethane, whereas this angle, as you know, this is actually like closing the book, right? So it is 0 degree for eclipsed, right? Okay, for 0 degree dihedral angle, the structure is eclipsed, and for staggered ethane, the dihedral angle is 60 degree. Now 60 degree for what? If I mark this hydrogen as 1 and this as 2, then this here if I mark it as 1 and I mark it as 2, then it is 60 degree. But in this case, you see the same dihedral angle, if I consider this one as hydrogen 1 and this as hydrogen 2, now it is 180 degree, right? Okay, so dihedral angle will be important for us before discussing the conformation analysis of alkenes. Now, as you can see, now if you take, say, this staggered one, the eclipsed one and the staggered one, see what is the difference between these two. The front atom is same, the atom at the back is rotated just 60 degree. Okay, so if you rotate this 60 degree here this way, right, you will end up with something like this. 60 degree rotation if you do, right, you will end up here. See, here in the eclipsed form, what is there extra? There is an extra repulsion between these bond electrons, Similarly, these are also eclipsed and these are also eclipsed, right? So there is 3 bonds, CH bonds, which are overlapping each other, right? I mean 3 pairs rather. So there is a repulsion between them, electrons, which is absent here, right? So which is more stable? Of course, the staggered one is more stable, right? Because it is devoid of those kind of repulsions, whereas this eclipsed one is less stable, right? And this stability increase or decrease, or this decrease in stability is due to what? Due to this eclipsing of the bond of the CH bonds over each other, right? But this difference is energy between this, in case of ethane for eclipsed and staggered one, is very less, right? Is very low, and they are interconvertible at room temperature. They convert between themselves at room temperature only, and that they convert millions times, more than million times per second, right? More than million times per second they can convert. So they are not isolable, right? You cannot isolate this eclipsed ethane or staggered ethane, right? They are not isolable. This is one of the important thing, difference between conformational isomers and configurational isomers. Configurational isomers are isolable, whereas these conformational isomers are not isolable. There are exceptions, of course. One or two examples are known, few examples are known where you can isolate the conformers, but they are, very rare. Right. Now, let us continue our discussion with ethane. So you see, if you start with staggered, right, and if you rotate this 60 degree, right, you are rotating it 60 degree, the carbon which is at the back, right, then you end up with the eclipsed form, which is higher in energy. Then again, if you rotate this 60 degree, right, you end up again with the staggered form, right, and then again if you go on doing it, again if you do it 60 degree, then again you end up with something similar structure, right. So this will go on ever, right. So if you just rotation of 60 degree, you can go from staggered to ethane. But you see, as we have discussed, that this staggered form is the most stable form, right, and the eclipsed form is the least stable. Anything in between, right, these are the not only the conformations of ethane, right. One thing you have to remember, the staggered and eclipsed are the extreme conformations of ethane. There can be infinite conformations of ethane. So this hydrogen here, this back carbon can have any rotation between 0 to 60 degree. So that will give infinite number of conformations, right. So but the energy will be somewhere in between these here only, right. It will not be either, it cannot go up here or it cannot go down there, because these are two extremes. So we have two extremes here, the staggered and the eclipsed, right, and this energy difference is called the rotational barrier, right, because if this molecule is not provided this amount of energy which is written here, that is 12 kilojoule per mole, then you cannot go to the eclipsed form and again come back to the staggered one. So this is called rotational barrier, right. Of course here in this case it is very less, right. Why? Because it is only CH, right. The H's, the hydrogens are neither bulky, so this is very low. The rotational barrier in this case is actually due to what? The torsional strain. Torsional strain, right? Mainly due to torsional strain, because this is the torsional, because as you move it, right, there is a repulsion. As you try to move it from staggered position to the eclipsed position, right, there is a repulsion between the bond pairs, right. This is called the torsional strain, right. The steric strain on the other hand is between the substituent groups, right. In this case it is very least steric strain possible, because hydrogen is the smallest atom. So we will not consider steric strain here. The rotational barrier is absolutely composed of this torsional strain here, right, and this torsional strain is due to what? The eclipsed bonds, right. Okay, now there are three eclipsed bonds, right, three pairs. So each bonds actually contribute what? Nearly one CH bond contributes nearly 4 kilojoule, right. The exact numbers can be it's nearly 1 calorie, so it's turns out to be 4.218. So it's, for our calculations, the qualitative calculations, we can say that is nearly 4 kilojoules. Now, why they can do million times of this kind of interchange at room temperature? Because at room temperature, the thermal energy is nearly you say like 82, I think, 82 kilojoule per mole, right. So it is much higher than the rotational barrier. So if the rotational barrier is lower than the thermal energy, then the molecule can always go back and forth between the staggered and eclipsed conformation, the highest conformation and the lowest one, right? The rotational barrier is the energy difference between the lowest possible conformation, lowest energy of the lowest the most stable conformation and the least stable conformation. In this case, we have the simplest case, we have only two of them. Okay, so the next one, if we consider, say, of butane, conformation analysis of butane, if we do, see, we have started with forget about all these things, we will come back one by one. Now we have started with the staggered conformation, similar to like ethane, right? Here we have a staggered conformation. Now what is this? This can be viewed as a di-substituted ethane, right? You have same ethane. Now in case of hydrogen, here you have two CH3s, right? In the previous lecture we have discussed about propane. We saw it was just can be considered as a mono substituted ethane, right? This is a di-substituted ethane, right? Now as we have di-substituted ethane, we suppose we start with, we have to have a starting point. We are starting with the staggered form, right? Now we are rotating the carbon at the back by 60 degree. If we do so, we end up here with the eclipsed form. Fine. If you again rotate this one by 60 degree, then you have another staggered form. If you rotate again, if you rotate this again, then you end up in the eclipsed form. Again, if you rotate this number 4 eclipsed form, then you end up here another staggered form, the 5. And if you rotate this again, you end up with another eclipsed form. And again, if you rotate this one, the number 6, you again return back to number 1. Now see, there is a subtle difference between ethane and butane, right? Due to the presence of these two methyl group, right? In ethane, what happened? We had only two forms, right? One staggered and one eclipsed, right? The second staggered is same as the first one, right? You cannot distinguish between hydrogens. But in case of butane, you see, you started with a staggered form, you ended up here after rotating 60 degree in an eclipsed form, and which you rotated again and got a staggered form. Now this staggered and this staggered is different, right? You see, in this case, the methyl groups are at 180 degree away from each other. Here they are much closer, 60 degree apart, right? Now we have to distinguish between them. They are distinguished as anti and gauche. And how to define it? When the dihedral angle between the bulkiest groups is 180 degree, right? When the dihedral angle, see, dihedral angle is 180 degree here, then we say it is anti. And when the dihedral angle is 60 degree, we say it is gauche. Okay. See, there is another staggered form, right? Here also the dihedral angle is what? 60 degree. So it is again gauche. Okay. So there are actually two types of staggered, right? One is anti and two gauche, because these two again will have same energy, because these methyl groups are now equidistant in both these cases. Here also they are 60 degree apart, here also they are 60 degree apart, right? But here this staggered form is different from the number 5 and 3. So number 1 staggered form is different from number 3 and 5. So we have now two types of staggered form. Similarly with the eclipsed also. See, the number 2 eclipsed, right? The eclipsed, which is number 2, has one CH bond and one CC bond eclipsed here, right? Two pairs of such eclipsed form, right? Whereas this one, you see the eclipse number 4, right? Eclipse number 4 has two methyl groups eclipsed together, right? This is very high energy, of course, because in this case what you have, these two methyl groups are bulky, right? These two methyl groups is just not we are drawing it like CH3, but this itself has a bulk here, right? This itself has a bulk here. This itself has 3 hydrogens, so they are bulky, right? They oppose each other, so this will be very high in energy. Whereas the number 6 eclipse group is again similar to the number 2, right? So again we have two types of staggered and two types of eclipsed form, right? Now how will their energy look like, right? Let us see. Now as we saw there, the HH eclipsed will give a energy torsional state of say 4 kilojoule, right? These are approximate values, right? Similarly, HC eclipsed, HCH3 eclipsed, methyl eclipsed with a proton will give an torsional strain of 5 kilojoule, and this is again mostly torsional strain, right? But this CC eclipsed, right, this will be give a very high torsional strain of rotational barrier of 17 kilojoule per mole, right? And mostly torsional, but here we have steric strain also, right? Because these two are bulky groups. But if this C and CH3 and CH3, that is two methyls, are goes to each other, that is they are apart, the dihedral angle is 60 degree, then also they contribute to the rotational barrier by 3 kilojoule, right? And this strain is mostly steric because the bond pair are not repelling each other. Okay. Now if we try to calculate the steric strains, you see with respect to of course this staggered one, which is most stable because there is neither steric strain nor torsional strain here. So with respect to this, if you calculate, so you have 5 for this CH3 overlap, 5 for the another one, and 4 for HH overlap. So this amounts to plus 14, right? And in this staggered form, right, we have only this steric strain of 3 kilojoule, no torsional strain. Here also it will be what? This will amount to our 17 kilojoule, right? And this will give 4 and 4, so overall it will be 25 kilojoule. Okay. Again this one will be same as this one, so it will again have 3 kilojoule, and this number 6 will be similar to 2, so it will also have 14, right? 14. So this way we can draw the picture of a graph of say potential energy and the angle of rotation, right? So see, this is the most stable, the antiform, right? What is the antiform? Where the dihedral angle between the two CH3 groups is 180 degree, right? And the next higher level is the Gauss forms, where the dihedral angle between these two are 60 degree, the 3 kilojoule away. And then comes the eclipsed forms, two eclipsed, where the methyls are eclipsed with hydrogen, right? 14 kilojoule away from the lowest, and ultimately the fully eclipsed form, which is the least stable, which has two methyl groups eclipsed to each other. Right? Now you see, what is the rotational barrier? The rotational barrier is the energy difference between the least and the highest. So it is again 25 kilojoule per mole, which is again lower than the thermal energy at the room temperature. so easily they can interconvert at room temperature. So again these isomers are conformational isomers are not isolable. Okay. Now this type of diagram, right, of analysis of this energy of the different conformers of ethane and butanes with respect to the angle of rotation is called the conformal analysis, right.